Okay, thanks Kieran, thanks everybody. So I suppose a little bit like the song on this project, I've stepped out and I'm stepping back in again on the project as it comes to the end, and would have been involved in the Build Up Skills project from the outset and worked with many of the partners both in Ireland and stakeholders over the last number of years. So specifically I'm going to talk about the Foundation Energy Skills Programme and its implementation and the piloting of it over the last year and a half. And I suppose we've been informed really of the context of where this has come from really, and ultimately I suppose the Build Up Skills initiative, we've heard a lot about directives, policy documents, the broader context. For this whole Build Up Skills initiative, I always try to keep the picture in my head of the man or the woman on the building site with a hard hat, with the boots on, with a high-vis vest, dealing with whatever they're dealing with. And they're the people that we're after. I suppose so it's important in the context of the training, all the things that we're doing, that we don't lose sight of those people, because this project is about those people. So ultimately we wanted to build a training program on quality low energy buildings, and then the target we set was to pilot that to 200 workers, so building construction workers, and then to evaluate and refine that and put it into a position where we can hand it over so that we can scale it up to a national program. And to define that, it had to be relevant. So it had to be relevant to those people that are in the room. So Emmett and Mark have talked about designing the program so that it engages with those people in a way that they learn properly. So it has to be relevant to the market, so it has to be able to be adjusted so as technologies and systems develop. It has to be effective and it has to be scalable. So we would all love to bring 60,000 people, construction workers, into our Institutes of Technology, our ETBs and our universities or wherever for 2 weeks, lock them into a room and upskill them, but that's not practical. So how could we deliver this at a national level? Again, this issue about knowledge versus skills. A lot of these people are really good at their jobs in terms of the skills that they've developed, but for various reasons they have missed pieces and nuggets of knowledge throughout their careers that needed to be added to. And it had to be engaging, they had to see value in it, and it had to be accredited. And the accredited part challenged us at the time that we were developing it, but it was important that these people got value and credits at the end of their process for their learning experience. So the program is, I suppose, designed primarily through a lot of collaboration between ITB and LIT. So it was accredited initially through LIT and then through ITB. The design of the content was, at a project level and at ITB and LIT level, developed around a range of units, which you can see up there. Again, so energy in buildings, how energy works, building fabric, heating and ventilation, and that last piece, systems thinking. So Emmett talked about this collaborative approach. Mark touched on it as well, in that it's everybody's job on site to get the quality building and the low energy building. And to get people thinking in that way was very important. And that permeated throughout the whole programme in both its delivery and the content that was provided. So the Foundation Energy Skills Programme is 5 credits, 5 ECTSs on the national framework at level 6, and it's part of a special purpose award in low energy building construction. The other 5 credits is a project module which will be rolled out in due course. And I suppose the people that were involved in the design of the programme and development of its content, I suppose it's we often look at the output, which is the training manual and the 3 days that the guys and the people spent on the training course. But there was a huge amount of time and effort put into the design of how we would deliver this. And I suppose that can't be forgotten. There was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, a lot of argument, but all of that was part of the learning process to design a product which we feel is at a very good quality and is designed for the target group that we're after. And getting that balance of practical application of what the trainers learned and how they could apply that then in the classroom. And then, as Mark said, a lot of work for preparing the course materials. I have many memories of being in Brussels at European exchange meetings, being on the phone to Mark, editing documents and talking about we need to get it to the printer tomorrow so we can get it. So there was a lot of pressure on the system at times to deliver the product. And again, moving away from the PowerPoint component, a lot of the materials were visual. They were some of the units that you see at the back here, practical touch and feel components for the participants to learn from. There was also a lot of video content produced. I just want to show you a small section of one. You may have seen it as some of the content that Devon is showing. It was a piece around this family called the O'Briens that were living in I call it the Celtic Tiger house. Insulated, poor air quality, heating system that was good at the time, so dealing with challenges with children dealing with poor air quality, so I suppose in a somewhat comical, gamified way, introducing them to this, again, keeping them to think about the family and the situations that they're dealing with, and trying to engage them in discussion about, have you been in that house? Do you live in that house? Are those issues that you're dealing with? How we rolled it out then was in a number of phases, so similar in many ways to the trainer-trainer. We had 7 groups through phase 1, Dublin, Cork, Limerick, Galway and Cavan. Phase 2 then, again 5 groups, Dublin, Limerick, Galway and Waterford. So you can see we did try to get a national spread, and that presented challenges for the team in terms of making that happen. And then I suppose seeing that these other 2 parts show that we were starting to get traction in the sector a little bit. We were invited through projects funded by SEAI, Better Energy Communities in Belmullet and in Portlaoise, the prison service here, to train people involved in those projects on the foundation energy skills. So we spread beyond our initial target group in some ways by engaging with those projects. We had 232 people registered through the pilot, and training held in Blanchardstown, CIT, who were also involved in the trainer-trainer, WIT, LIT, ET Ballyfermot, Saint-Gobain in their site in Cavan, and in Partel in Galway. And again, some of the details of the times and dates and locations there. So very important national spread. So that was one of our targets, trying to get this regional approach where we could clearly show that we had tried and targeted people around the country and make it available as much as possible. And I think Mark touched on this earlier on. The reality is that much of this training wouldn't have happened without the support of the people who are up on the screen here. These organisations stepped up to the plate, provided facilities, in some cases built facilities, provided training, promoted the training, and without them, it would have been harder for us as a project team to deliver this. We were able to use facilities that were high quality so that the experience for the participants was very good. So a particular thanks to those friends of QualiBuild. Again, the delivery, you'll see from the pictures that it involved group work. It wasn't a traditional classroom. It wasn't this format with somebody standing up in front talking to people. It was actually, what do you think? Give me your opinion. How would you do this? So they were in classrooms within the practical training centre or in classrooms that had group activity built in. So I think all the trainers, some of them that are in the room, will tell you that one of the great things about it is that there was a lot of noise in the room. And as somebody who teaches, it's the death of silence. when you go. What do you think about that? It's one of the hardest things to deal with, but having the trainers and the participants coming back to you and questioning you is really good. And I suppose this is an example of, you know, testing them. This was one of the activities where they had to work with the manuals that they were given, engage with the content that the trainer had provided, and then go away as a group and look at a particular detail, and then present that back to the group, the wider group, in some shape or form. So they were able to share knowledge that they have with other people in the room. They were challenged to work as a group. You know, many of them don't work as a group. They don't work with mixed trades. So it was a new experience for them in many ways. So I think pedagogically the system worked. And you know, for some of the people it challenged them, the participants, because they're not normally in that space. And that's good. I think recruitment is a challenge, and this 60,000 figure, it may be 65, it might be 55, it might grow to 75 as the construction sector rebounds. You know, these people are hard to connect with because they're on site, they don't answer their phone. Idel isn't here, she would have worked in LIT in lots of number of projects. They don't answer their phone unless it's a job. That's perfectly understandable. They're in the middle of doing an air tightness test, they're in the middle of doing something. They're not your normal 9 to 5 answer to emails, so how do you connect with them? We tried everything and anything. Email, company lists, being at events, mail shots, phone, but I think we can say that the impact of Siri starting, we could see it through phase 2, in that we were getting referrals from companies that were looking at Siri, and that FES course is recognised under Siri. So there are participants who have done this, and from companies that are now saying that, you know, this is part of our CPD program. And word of mouth, people from phase 1 told people, go on this course when you hear about it again. And I was speaking to somebody over coffee, we need to try and get to that critical mass, and these group of people work by word of mouth. If we can get to a critical mass, it will grow and develop. So I suppose that's a profile of the type of people that participated, you know, across the trades: carpenters, bricklayers, plumbers, plasterers, some in the operatives, builders themselves. Interestingly, if you look at the age profile, they're in the older age profile. So what does that mean? Do the new guys think they know it all? Probably I, as a graduate engineer, probably thought I knew it all. Are they busy? Are they interested in training? Are they fed up of being in class for a while, they don't want to do anything? Are the older people thinking, well, this is the new space, I need to upskill, I haven't upskilled myself for a number of years? You know, so in a way we did 200 people. Are they truly representative of the 60,000? No, they're not. They're the early adopters. They're the people who say, this is a space I need to get into. But in terms of the trades, certainly they were representative. I suppose we want to be able to hand this project over and the outputs over to people, so we had to evaluate it. That was done in a number of ways. The reaction of the participants to the training, the learning, so that's what mark did they get, what percentage did they pass, did they change their behaviour, and the results from the employer's point of view. So those were all done through different approaches. There's a detailed report for you all that will be available on the website in due course, but some quick takeouts from it. The first one is, you know, do you have some responsibility for the energy performance of buildings that I work on? And the majority are saying strongly agree. So green is beforehand and blue is afterwards. So we did change behaviour. The participants felt that, you know, they have responsibility for quality of building on site. And then what's most important to you from the choices provided? And again, a slight shift in terms of getting the job done right. Obviously, they want to get happy customers, they want to get paid, and getting finished onto the next job. So again, is that truly reflective? I think the people that came on the course are in many ways the quality builders, the quality trades in some way. And that may be different as we expand out. I have the Seamus Hoyne rule, the 20-60-20 rule. The 20% at the top are easy to get. 20% at the bottom you may never change. You're playing for the 60%. If we ask that question of the 20%, I'd say at the bottom, would we get a different profile? Probably we would. And then in terms of where do they see it going, this group wanted more inspection of their work. So they're not afraid, they want to be inspected, and they see that the system needs more inspection. So I think that comes back to policy initiatives at a government level. They think they can do quality work, come and help us get to a quality product. Again, some quick numbers. Overwhelmingly very positive responses from the participants. They would all recommend it to others. They all felt that they would pay for the program, so it was provided free to the participants as part of the project. As part of the rollout, it will be provided on a fee basis. Most felt it should be mandatory. A lot had discussed it with co-workers. Most have got a positive reaction, but some people on the site with them said, that's a load of bunkum, I have no interest in getting engaged in that space. And the majority felt that everybody should do it. Again, I suppose reiterating comments from Emmett, from his experience as a trainer. The employers, again, they're the early adopters, but again, very positive. They wanted to see a link between the FES, their CPD initiatives as employers, and the SIRI initiative. The majority willing to pay. And I suppose interestingly, most of these employers said, we see benefit for us as a business being able to market quality. That we have quality products, quality services, and quality staff. Some conclusions: it worked. It nearly broke some of the guys in ITB and LIT, I think, but it worked. It is going to be very challenging to get to this target of 60,000 if that's what we want to do. I think the course content, the delivery mechanism, and the assessment is appropriate. There's minor tweaking to be done, but I think it's a very good quality product that we have that we can roll out. Practical training facilities, this is one of the challenges for the teams in terms of operationally rolling out this program. We don't have enough sites spread regionally to be able to give them that practical component. These learners need to touch, the feel, the see piece. We don't have enough of those sites. The sites that we had came from locations around the country that we had to use, and it meant travel for some of the participants, and we want to try and avoid that because they can't travel because of work commitments. Increased recognition of the training is needed, and the participants indicated a willingness to pay. Obviously, when we go to market with the price point, we'll test that theory. I mentioned at the very start that this was validated at a level 6 award. It was validated within LIT and ITB. Our preference at the start was that it would be validated through the further education system, but Solus FOS was in a change process at the time, so we had a decision to make at that time. So one of the things we need to do to facilitate the rollout is progress that. We need pathways for progression. Some of these people will progress to site managers or retrofit managers. Where's the pathway for them on that? And that's very important from an education point of view, from the skills development aspect. I suppose in the interim, and this will be referred to later on in terms of the rollout, ITB and LIT have committed to providing this course for probably the next 2 years in the interim. So on a similar mechanism to the QualiBuild project, so we will roll out the program nationally. Ultimately, we want that rollout to be taken over by an appropriate body, and discussions going on with relevant state bodies to see where we can sit that. And the market demand has to come at multiple points. Like, to make this mandatory requires legislation. We can tackle that in other ways. So are there market initiatives such as SEAI funded programs, procurement via local authorities, requirements on the housing action plan that can drive demand and recommend that workers have this FES course done. Again, the partners, so thank you very much for your time. And just final comment, just to say that most of the content in this slide has come from work that Mark and his team in ITB have done. So the evaluation was all done by Mark's team. They dealt with the engagement with the workers and ringing them 4 times to say, are you going to Belmunnet on Tuesday? So a lot of the work, again, I think Emmett acknowledged it earlier on, it was a consortium effort, but there was a huge amount of work done by the ITB team to get this across the line. So thanks very much.